Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
Brandon Crow watching from Hockey Canada. Writes in and he says, my wife and her two sisters all played NCAA Division I hockey. They attribute it to waiting around that chute as kids and using those prairie oysters as hockey puck. Shooting them for the dog. Here's
Bingo!
one. All the raw testicles that I collected one day, I put them in a margarine container. Remember the old Imperial margarine that had the purple crowns around it? Yeah. I put them all in there, and I took them to a party, a bush party. You've been there, Moose. You weren't at that one, but you've been to them. And I was going to cook them. I was going to cook them and make people eat them and not tell them what they were till after. But it didn't matter because Philip Kenyon took one, popped it in his mouth, crunched it raw. And he was smiling, and the blood ran down just like this.
He knew what it was?
I will never forget. He knew what it was. Philip Kenyon.
That was Fear Factor before there was Fear Factor with Joe Rogan.
I know. Beer might have been involved. But the next time that we're driving to Montana, I'll show you exactly where it is, because a lot of stuff went down at that site. A lot of stuff. I'm not going to go any further, but just remind me later. I'll tell you about the bikers that were on their way back from Sturgis from the rally that stopped at our party.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show. Now,
here's a little secret with what I do at the Rod Pedersen Show, and I've made a career of it. I don't care whether you like me or you don't like me, but when you watch my show, I just want you to feel something.
how about that?
Whether you're happy or you're sad or you're angry or you're proud, I just want you to feel something. Because a lot of times you'll read a column or watch a show and say, that's never been the hallmark of what I do. I want to make you think. I want to make you feel something. And it's worked. And if you don't agree with me, I'll be fine.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
And that's what we're doing today. Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show. Great to be here in this business. Great to be anywhere. We're live on Game Plus TV, YouTube Live, and the radio WQEE Metro Atlanta. Shout out to the folks down there in the Peach State and our good friend Ryan, our radio flying the ship, and all those cool cats in the control room of Game Plus TV in Tirana, anchoring our show out of there. I want to hear from them today with the audience participation. But more than anything, I want to hear from Darren Moose DuPont, the co-host and the president of the whole shebang. I hope you're ready to have some fun today. You have your Seattle Kraken tracksuit on today. I see that. Is that because they've won 4 in a row and they're one of the hottest teams in the NHL, Moose, or was it laundry day?
A little column A, a little column B. They slapped around the Leafs the other night, so got that going. And sorry, I just looked down. Not that we need to throw everything off, but breaking news this morning, Cliff Kingsbury fired by the Arizona Cardinals.
Cliff Kingsbury, the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, fired today, minutes ago. Yeah, we'll jump into that, but we'll dissect that. I want to hear from the Cardinals fans, of which there are many, who watch this show when we do air in the state of Arizona on Game Plus TV. The guests today, however, are hockey people. Joey Kenward from Sportsnet 650 Vancouver. We'll talk about the plight of the Canucks and also WHL trades. The deadline is on Tuesday. The arms race. Locked and loaded, man. My brother thinks the trades are done. Everybody's talking about it in the hockey world. And Scott Laughlin from SiriusXM NHL Radio going to join us. He just gave my tweet a like. So he's in my good books today. Scott Laughlin from SiriusXM NHL Radio. Can you hit the quick six show horn, please, Director Jordan? And let's get down to it.
How about that?
By the way, who didn't see the firing of Cliff Kingsbury coming? That's all that I'll say. They've made Kyler Murray, top 5 highest paid quarterbacks in the league. He didn't do spit this year. They didn't have their top guns. DeAndre Hopkins for the first 6 games of the year. J.J. Watt for a lot of it. The general manager, Steve Keim, took a leave of absence. So we'll dissect that when we look ahead to the NFL playoff picture, who's in, who's out. But Black Monday, man, the Houston Texans couldn't wait Sunday for Black Monday. They fired Lovie Smith, their head coach, Monday night. But 2 have fallen now. Lovie Smith and Cliff Kingsbury since the NFL season ended. But I'm opening with hockey because that's the one thing I have to be honest with you that I've realized, Darren, between our viewers in Florida, the Canadian Prairies, our strongest regions, the tie that binds is the hockey. So Max Domi scored at 104 of overtime. He had a helper as well as the Chicago Blackhawks got their second straight win, 4-3 over the Calgary Flames, whom were opening a vital 5-game road trip. Elias Lindholm had a power play goal and an assist, and Nazem Kadri and Jonathan Huberdeau also scored for the Flames. Starting goalie Jacob Markstrom was yanked after allowing 3 goals on 11 shots and replaced by Dan Vladar. We're obviously going to come back on that because I watched that game after the Dolphins game, which was a huge part of our Sunday, and I'm sitting there watching the game going, how are the Flames losing? I don't need the new hockey lingo and speak. I don't need analytics, zone time, attempted shots. I can see for myself they're dominating the Chicago Blackhawks, but they're losing. And they ended up losing the game. So what I've zeroed this in on is that the Calgary Flames continually play down to their competition all the time. Chicago Blackhawks have the worst team in the NHL, and the Flames trailed them all game on the scoreboard, not on the ice. I don't understand it, other than to say, then the Flames will beat the really good teams, Darren, and they'll go, yeah, they're good. They are who we thought they were. They're a good team. But then they go up against Chicago and soil themselves. So the Flames we're about at the halfway mark. You know, they got to start figuring it out soon. They're still in a playoff spot, and Darryl Sutter, the head coach, was very happy they got a point out of the game. But the Flames have to stop playing down to their competition. That's what ails them right now. And with Jacob Markstrom, by the way, sorry to spend so much time on the Calgary Flames, but we're very big in Calgary.
Bingo!
On TELUS, channel 920. Yeah, 924. Jacob Markstrom, you got to figure it out, brah. Talked with Kelly Rudy about this, right? Kelly isn't in the Hall of Fame. Probably should be. Hall of Fame human being, obviously, but I said to him once, Kelly, you're traveling with the team, and he's been with the Flames for years as their color commentator. I'm like, do they ever ask you about goaltending issues with their guy? And he's like, I think you were standing there when I asked it. And he was like, no. He's like, come to think of it, no. Well, Kelly's been through all this stuff, if you know his career, and he was my favorite goalie as a kid, one of them. So I know that he's been through it. Why would you not? I guess I'll just ask you this before I move on. Jacob Markstrom with the Flames, he's got to find his way out of it, Darren. Unless you think he is what he's showing.
No, he has to. He is their cornerstone. He needs to be. If a team's going to make a run, and we saw it when Calgary made the run in 2004, Mika Kiprasov was so good. You need to have goaltending, and they think Jacob Markstrom's their guy. I think they believe that he's their guy. And you need to give people time to figure things out. But eventually, he has to get this going, or this is going to be a lost season and a real big mistake for Calgary. Everybody wants to talk about the shots last night, and you can control play and you can put up all the shots you want. But I saw a stat on Twitter, and again, I need to be fact-checked on it. But in games where the Flames have put up more than 30 shots, they're below 500. They're below 500. So finding a way to bear down and just win these games that they need to win, they have to in the second half of the season.
But that is a direct pointing the finger at the goaltending. It's like we're getting the shots at the other end. Shot volume, as they like to say. And then they come back the other way. Bing, it's in our net. What? It's deflating to a team. Markstrom's got to figure it out, and you can't point the finger at the general manager, Brad Treliving, either. He went out and gave him $6 million a year on a long-term deal, 7 years, I think, because of what he did in Vancouver. We know you're capable of it, Jacob. You got to wake up. He knows all these things, but I'm a goalie guy, but it's on Jacob Markstrom right now. He's got to figure this out because everybody else is pulling the load, as far as I'm concerned. 7 minutes, all on the Calgary Flames. You're welcome, Calgary. In Dallas, Jason Robertson scored 2 goals, and Jake Ottinger made 27 saves to lead the Dallas Stars past Florida 5-1. I watched it. It was a snoozer. Here's the thing with Florida. They can beat the underlings. They can't beat the top teams. I'm not sure what's worse, that or what the Flames got going on. I don't know. Winnipeg, Kyle Connor had a hat trick, and Winnipeg extended its winning streak to a season-best 5 games with a 7-4 win over Vancouver. And I will wait until Scott Laughlin joins us in hour 2 to talk about the Jets and when do we start talking about them as Stanley Cup contenders, because I think we're there. And Johnny Tavares had a goal and 2 assists in Philadelphia. Mitch Marner had 3 assists, and the Leafs beat Philadelphia 6-2. For our Eastern viewers and Leaf fans, do you want to handle that, Moose? How are the Leafs coming out of the weekend, from your opinion?
Yeah, nice rebound there. Again, didn't play very well against Seattle. Got it taken to him against Seattle. Managed the split, so it's good. Not bad. Up and down. Austin Matthews, I mean, he got the 6th goal. He continues to not really drive the boat offensively. It's Nylander and Marner, but he got his 20th goal, and all is well again after the loss against Seattle.
From our viewers, just checking it in, Allie in Texarkana says, it totally happens, and Dallas does that too, Rod, hence losing to the Ducks, playing down to your opposition. Matt Young says, he says, Santa, I am like Minnesota Vikings win. Okay. There are 7 teams that made the playoffs in the NFL this year that didn't last year, and the Vikings are one of them. I love it. I love it so much. Yeah, I got to stop, get out of the comment section, other than to say Jack in Alberta. Regarding the firing of Cliff Kingsbury this morning, he says, never been a Cardinals fan, just a Larry Fitzgerald fan. There's a lot of hard luck franchises in America. The Arizona Cardinals are near the top of the list for their fans, man. They've been crappy for a long time. And it looks like the window was open there for a while. They were in a Super Bowl, as you know. But they're not going back there anytime soon. Where are we? Lots of time here. This is the warm-up. We're in the quick six show topics to the NFL. Aaron Rodgers threw a late interception, and the Green Bay Packers lost 20-16 to the Detroit Lions on Sunday night to fall short of the NFL playoffs. They fell short against the Lions, who had been eliminated from the playoffs earlier Sunday when the Seahawks beat the LA Rams 19-16 in overtime. Seattle earned the NFC's final playoff spot. And they're going to play San Francisco in the opening round. It's only Monday. We got all week to look forward to next weekend's NFL wildcard round. The one thing that came out, two things came out for me. Tom Brady's in the playoffs again, and Bill Belichick is not. To quote Cactus Jack Wells, and it all turned out nice again. Who needs whom, Bill? Oh, yeah. And the other is in L.A. Sean McVay, I don't know if you saw going into the game, the Rams-Seattle game, Sean McVay had, I guess, said that he'd had some offers from television. He was considering getting out of the coaching game and to get into the television game. A la John Gruden stuff, you know? He's the youngest Super Bowl winning coach of all time. I think he's only 36. Do you get the chunky soup commercials in Canada like we get in the U.S. with Sean McVay in them? He's very charismatic. The camera loves him. He could be that guy. But I would just say this. I would caution anybody to not listen to a guy who's considering packing it in on the final week of the regular season. Look at Tom Brady. Tom retired after last year, lasted 41 days because he was emotional, making emotional decisions. Sean McVay saying he's worn out coaching the Rams, and they're 12 losses this year, the most ever by any team coming off a Super Bowl win. It's a different era now. And I think sitting here 50,000 feet up, you're looking down going, the Rams went all in. We've talked about it a million times. They couldn't bring everybody back. Cooper Kupp was hurt. Matthew Stafford was hurt. OBJ's not there. They had to get rid of Von Miller. It's not the same team. This is exactly what you wanted to happen. So why is there so much heat on Sean McVay and everybody's spit-talking him? He delivered too. Did they think they were going to win it this year?
No, there's no way. That they thought they had a chance. I mean, if all the stars aligned and you brought all the guys back, you've got a great, young, bright coach and all those things, maybe. But when you look at McVay, and I've been kind of seeing the coverage, he's young. He's, got a young wife, and I think they've got a young child as well, a new child. He's in L.A., so, it's a tough season. He could go into a studio job in L.A., do the halftimes, the pre-games, that kind of stuff, not have to travel. He's still young. Do that for 4 or 5 years while his kid's growing up, and then go back on the sidelines in his mid-40s and still be a young head coach. And if he decided to come back then, at any point, he'd be highly coveted. Any team would want him that has a vacancy. So I think he holds all the cards to do whatever he wants to do.
There's no doubt that he does. But I'll just say, I caution anybody not to listen to somebody in the pressure cooker situation like that. Give him a few weeks. The other thing that, not like I haven't been around football and hockey people my whole life, they're afraid to get out of the game, though, even for a little while. And I've talked to panelists on both sides of the border. Guys like Jimmy Johnson have been around. Bradshaw never coached as far as I know. But when you're going to the panel, you're staying there. Tony Dungy. So I would say to Sean McVay, don't go to the panel until you're done. Because I've asked Matt Dunning at TSN, does this replace being on the sidelines? He's like, no. You've been around Dunning, and now you know how he talks. Right? Yes. So I would say coaches for as long as you can coach, Sean. That would be my take on that. I see a lot of the junior fans have showed up, and I appreciate it. We are a hockey show foist. The Regina Pats, point 3. God's team welcomed Connor Bedard home from the World Junior Hockey Championship on Sunday, and the MVP for Team Canada responded by scoring 4 goals, added 2 helpers, and the Pats routed the Calgary Hitmen 6-2. Meanwhile, in Winnipeg, Zach Benson scored thrice and added an assist as the Winnipeg Ice dumped the visiting Portland Winterhawks 6-3. 2 major trades going down on Sunday, and these names have World Junior connotations. The Winnipeg Ice acquiring forward Zach Ostapchuk from the Vancouver Giants in exchange for forwards Skylar Bruce and Connor Dale, prospects Hudson Landmark and Owen Breeze, a 1st and 5th round pick in the 2024 draft, 1st round pick in 2025, 1st round pick in 2026, and in Everett, the Silver Tips have officially finalized the trade. There's the Vancouver-Winnipeg trade. And you fellas, do you have the Everett Kamloops trade? The Tips sending defenseman Olin Zellweger and forward Ryan Hofer to the Kamloops Blazers. There you go. Nice work for a package including Drew Englot, Caden Hamill, Ryland Pierce, forward Jack Backer, and 10 WHL Bantam draft picks. Too numerous to mention here. So there you go. A little later on here in hour 1, Joey Kenward's going to be joining us to talk about that. So I understand, some of our Florida friends have said, when you talk about the junior, it loses us. I'm sorry. It's what everybody's talking about in the Canadian prairies right now. In Western Canada, as a matter of fact. And I think out in the Eastern Canada with the O and the Q, they're talking about it too. We're going to have to break here time-wise, and we'll come back and discuss it a little more. My brother was texting me last night. He said which trade it was. I think it was the Zellweger trade. He's like, okay, they're done now. And then the Ostapchuk trade came down. And I think the biggest thing here from my sphere is everybody's tearing apart Connor Bedard's decision. People in the Queen City, the sweatpants capital, tearing apart Connor Bedard's decision to not be traded and finish his career with the Regina Pats Hockey Club, a team that's going nowhere, unfortunately, and people are calling him selfish, saying that if he really cared about the franchise that he says he's so loyal to, they would allow him to trade him for a haul like this. So we can kick that around. I want to get to the NLL thing. Bernie Kosar fired on Sunday for making a bet from the Bengals radio crew. How about that? And the Natties tonight, Georgia TCU. So we got a lot to get to. We'll be right back. We're only halfway through the Quick Six. It's the RP Show, and we are live on Game Plus TV, YouTube TV, and WQEE Radio.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your you phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902 518 3033.
Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Experts in all residential and commercial plumbing services and proudly serving Regina and area since 1978. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. We'll treat you right. Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. Casino fancy.
It's time to trade and upgrade at Capital Ford Lincoln. Great news, factory credits are back. That means massive savings on every new vehicle. Take advantage of up to $7,000 in discounts on all remaining new 2022 F-150s. And rates are as low as 1.49% OAC. Looking for a used vehicle? You gotta check out our all makes, all models inventory. Plus, don't pay for 90 days on all new and used vehicles. There's never been a better time to trade and upgrade at Capital Ford Lincoln. CapitalFordLincoln.com.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, honey, can you get one of the kids to show me how this Twitter thing works? Honey, I need to get on Instagram. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hello, everybody. It is your favorite daytime sports and entertainment talk show, and as we've said many times, it's over the course of this program's existence. This is now episode number 913. We are the View for sports fans. It's a daily talk show talking about what's up in sports. That's what we do. As Chris Jones would say, don't get it twisted. And let's bring in the Moose now. All kinds of topics are on the table. We're also the most interactive show for broadcast, as we are on radio, television, and streaming. David in Winnipeg writes in and says, Happy Monday, RP and Moose. He's watching on Game Plus TV, where we're carried on Bell MTS cable out there in beautiful Winnipeg. He says it's hard to believe that with all the talent that has passed through the Western Hockey League, that the only #1 overall picks have been Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Chris Phillips. Connor Bedard should be one of the most clear-cut choices ever. Also start believing in the Jets as possible contenders for at least a couple of playoff rounds. What you looking at, brah? The Dubs got all kinds of #1 overall picks. Mike Modano, Wendell Clark, Doug Wickenheiser. You're talking about my era there. There's been a ton of Western Hockey League picks. And for as far as the others go, there's a lot of great hockey players in the world. So it doesn't, I'm just fine with it. Off the top of your head, Moose, who comes? I think I nailed some of them.
Yeah. Wendell was my first choice when you were reading that. I'm like, what about Wendell? You know, and
right.
There's a lot. There's a lot. But you're right. But, you know, David's right. Bedard will be clear-cut, one of the most unanimous selections in a while. I mean, he's up there with the McDavids and the Crosbys.
John writes in and says, if Connor Bedard asked to be traded to a Memorial Cup contender, the haters would be all over that too. Poor kid, can't win for trying to be humble. Leave the kid alone. Let's give him another gong. Way to go, John. I'm with you. The kid's learning lessons real young in life. Do what's best for you. You tick a lot of people off when you do that. You tick a lot of people off when you do that. Go and read my top 10, my 10 weekend things column. It's at rodpeterson.com right now, where I discuss this. The best thing for the Regina Pats is trading Connor Bedard, but because he's such a key figure in Regina Pats history, this is different. And I think the good karma is going to spill over by not trading him, by empowering him, and allowing him to make this decision. Interesting. Here's a good one. From Oleg in Winnipeg. I don't know why I'm gonging it, but I like it. He says, don't forget Gordy Kluzak. From Climax, Saskatchewan, Gord Kluzak, #1, Boston Bruins. There's a ton of them. Ew. Ted from Red Deer writes in, he's watching in Arizona. He says, can we get a jersey recap before I vote? Thank you, Ted. He always reminds me to remind you and myself of the poll today for Capital Auto Mall Universal Collision Center with dealerships all across the Canadian prairies and the state of California. It's round 2 of our NHL reverse retro jersey bracket. And today, this is Moose. Put it all on Moose. He put the Vancouver Canucks up against the Winnipeg Jets. And there it is. Unfortunately, Pittsburgh beat Florida last week. I'm trying to get a body of work here on. There it is. I'm voting for Winnipeg. I kind of like anything blue on blue is for me. The Vancouver Canucks, I still don't know what that thing is on the chest. Just not a fan. I've just never been a Vancouver guy till I go there. Vancouver's got to win me over. How about that? On Twitter, 60% on Twitter are voting for the Winnipeg Jets. Moose, you voted for Vancouver. That's your favorite jersey out of all of them, right? What are they saying on YouTube, yep. Clark? Oh, okay. So Winnipeg's winning at 74%. But we've also seen, in a sort of Biden-Trump thing, somebody come from the back of the pack and come back and win over 24 hours. So, yeah, get your votes in. This is interesting. A few things here. Ryan in New York, I've been thinking of him a lot, and I'll tell you why. Ryan says, good day to the Rod Squad from Saratoga, New York. No more having to feel miserable as a New York Jets fan. Now until September. On the hockey. Let's go, Devils. The New York Jets now have, I believe, the longest playoff drought. Well, for sure in the NFL, it goes back to, 2012? And the longest playoff drought of the big 4 leagues is owned by the Sacramento Kings in the NBA. And then it's the Jets, who are actually tied with the Buffalo Sabres. And I'm very excited to see Tage Thompson when the Sabres come through. Well, no, sorry, NHL All-Star Weekend. He'll be coming through here, Sunrise, Florida. The Buffalo Sabres will not. But that Tage Thompson is something special, man. And anyways, because junior hockey is right in my heart, it's in my DNA, there's an interesting question here from Jason in Red Deer. He says, how much do junior players really care about the teams they play for? Not many. To many, it's just another stepping stone to get to the big dance. It's an interesting question. You've known a lot of junior hockey players. I've known a lot of junior hockey players, worked in it full-time for 20 years. I would say they're all different. And when we hosted the Memorial Cup, Canada's national junior championship for hockey, junior hockey, I really noticed then. We put the call out to all the Pats alumni to see who showed up and who didn't. Kind of tells you who cares and who doesn't. Some guys never look back. They leave, they never look back. Some guys are back every summer, So it's different for everybody. Arlen Bruce III writes in. AB3, Canadian Football League great. He says, new week, the RP show is lit. Do you think Aaron Rodgers goes to the Raiders and Sean Payton goes to Denver? Black Monday is real. Yes, AB3. We've had 2 coach firings in the NFL now in 24 hours. Today, Cliff Kingsbury, the Arizona Cardinals. Sunday night, Lovie Smith of the Houston Texans. And I don't think they're done yet. I did talk to a Vegas guy today. He says Derek Carr's days with the Raiders are done. I did not. I apologize. I'm still sick, fighting my way through this thing. I'm all hopped up on cold medication, so if I sound more loopy than normal, that's why. I know, again, daytime talk. We're turning into squirrels real early here today, Moose. But would you believe that Derek Carr's days are done in Vegas? And if so, could you see Aaron Rodgers leaving Green Bay to Vegas? Aaron, what did he say yesterday? He pulled a Mark Scheifele after the game last night. Aaron Rodgers says, I want to see what the team's doing before I decide what I want to do, which makes complete sense.
Yeah, and there was a rookie on the Detroit Lions that came up to Aaron Rodgers after the game, like this happens every game, and asked him for his jersey, right, to do the jersey swap. And Aaron said to him, I think I'll hold on to this one. And, Adam Schefter posted that clip of it on social media, and we're going to read into that. We're going to say, well, his last game ever in Green Bay with the Packers, he's going to want to keep that jersey as memento. He's made up his mind that it's his last game. I don't know if that's the case, but we're going to speculate for a long time about it, and it appears that we're going to have an off season. Get ready for it. Watching around the clock on ESPN. Where's Aaron Rodgers going? What's he doing? He won't be at the OTAs. He won't be at the mini camps. He'll be visiting Nashville. He'll be visiting the Vegas. And the rumors will be rampant all off season.
That reminds me. Thanks for the reminder. That's why we don't talk about it here. We talk about other things because I get sick of it. I get sick of the Aaron Rodgers stuff. I've never met him. I hear he's a nice guy, but I'm just sick of the talk. Ryan in New York says, by the way, it's 2010 since the Jets have been in the playoffs, and that is the longest playoff drought. And Jack in Alberta points out Jeff the Stamps fan says we should hear where Nathan Rourke signs soon. I got to call my Vegas guy back because I meant to ask him what he's hearing about where Nathan Rourke is going to go, the BC Lions quarterback. I think it's today that he's eligible to sign in the National Football League, so by the end of the week, I've said Las Vegas. You said where, did you say? Minnesota?
I said somewhere like Minnesota. A situation like Minnesota's, yeah.
Okay. To a couple more fun things before we bring in Joe Kenward. Sportsnet 650 Vancouver, former voice of the Swift Current Broncos and Vancouver Giants. We'll get into the Dub arms race with him. NLL Week 6. I love me some NLL, and I'm in year 7 of that since I got hooked on the league going to the games. Here's what happened Week 6. The Las Vegas Desert Dogs are winless at home. How about that? Wayne Gretzky's NLL expansion team can't win at home. They lost 14-9 to the Philadelphia Wings in Michelob Arena in Vegas on Friday night. I could not stay up too late to watch it. It didn't start till 10:30 on ESPN News. Rochester is still unbeaten. They're 17-9. They beat Panther City 17-9. Albany lost to Halifax 14-11. Our Georgia Swarm Moose, all our listeners there in Georgia, are you listening? Hashtag buzzing. Swarm haven't won a game yet. They lost 18-9 to Buffalo. Toronto beat New York 15-7. Colorado Mammoth raised their banner. They beat the Calgary Roughnecks in Ball Arena 9-8, put up their championship banner from last year. San Diego beat Vancouver 16-11. There's your Week 6 NLL recap. How about this? Point 5. Former Cleveland quarterback Bernie Kosar made a costly bet. The Browns fired the beloved Kosar from their pregame radio broadcast before Sunday's season finale against Pittsburgh after he violated NFL policy by placing a wager earlier this week after sports gambling became legal in Ohio. Kosar made a ceremonial bet of $19,000 because he wore number 19 for the Browns. It's with Tipico Sportsbook. The Browns say they had no choice but to relieve him of his duties. My guess is he's being paid more by the sports book than he is by the Cleveland radio station, so Bernie's okay with it. But kind of tells you the slippery slope, does it not, of this business we're in right now? I didn't know if you've heard that story or not, so I'm just going to lob that into your lap with, what do you think about that?
Yeah, it is. And it is going to be very, you said tiptoeing around it. It's very crazy. It is. Because where do you draw the line between it's okay and it's not okay? You know, you and I don't officially work for any teams of any kind. I will go place bets on the NFL. And I've been open about that on this show through our sports book and, you know, on the free sites at betregal.net and different places like that. No underground bookies or anything like that. But, you know, it's funny because when you're on the radio station, that obviously considers you tied to it. You just better know, in the position you're in nowadays, if you're within arm's length of the team, what's allowed and what's not allowed. And it's always better to ask first before you start betting.
I know, and I've realized this long ago when I've got team personnel, a lot of times broadcasters, but sometimes coaches, texting me, DMing me, saying, you're so lucky. You get to do your own deals, specifically betting deals. We can't. I'm like, I know, brah. One day people will figure out why this is the best space. For sure. Did I tell you how much I love Bet Regal, our exclusive sports book and betting partner? Sign up today and play for free at betregal.net. Moose, I'll see you in hour 2. I know you have thoughts on the Natty tonight. Reason to watch live football on a Monday night? Tonight, Georgia TCU. Bulldogs favored by 12.5 in a championship game at Bet Regal. Unbelievable, whopping line there. We'll talk about the game and more later on in hour 2, and Scott Laughlin will join us then. But Joey Kenward joins us next. Thanks, Moose. We'll be right back. It's the RP Show. We're live on Game Plus, YouTube, and on the radio, WQEE.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Is it time to take your event online? Bring it to IKS Live. We've got a fully customized virtual event platform with remote guest support for your next fundraiser, talk show, conference, performance, and more. IKS Live offers live streaming to Facebook Live and YouTube and pre-recorded capabilities, both in our studio with green screen available and on location with pre-production and post-production services. Visit us at ikslive.ca.
Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Experts in all residential and commercial plumbing services and proudly serving Regina and area since 1978. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. We'll treat you right. It's time to trade and upgrade at Capital GMC. Great news, factory credits are back. That means massive savings on every new vehicle. We have over 100 GMC Sierras available, and they're all priced to move. Looking for a used vehicle? You gotta check out our all makes, all models, GM certified pre-owned inventory. Plus, don't pay for 90 days on all new and used vehicles. There's never been a better time to trade and upgrade at Capital GMC. CapitalGMC.ca.
Easy snacking all around. Something everyone can love.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG. Always delivering the best fan experience.
I gotta hit the beat. I gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
beat. I gotta hit the beat.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Did you know you can catch all the best moments from the show on all our social media platforms? Now, back to the studio with Rod.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Your favorite daytime sports talk show is on the air. Game Plus TV, available through Alberta and BC on TELUS, Channel 924. Streaming on YouTube, of course, and on the radio, WQEE 99.1 FM, Metro Atlanta. Joey Kenward's longtime friend of ours, Sportsnet 650, Rogers Media, joins us today from the left coast. And Joey, before we get into this WHL arms race, I was just checking your Twitter. 35 years ago today, Pat Quinn was suspended for the rest of the year by the NHL. I don't remember it, dude. Fill me in. What was the story on that? Do you remember?
Well, it's quite remarkable. If you think of back then, 3+ decades, even that was big news because something like that never really had happened before. But at the time, for those of you hockey fans or sports fans that might not remember that far back, Pat Quinn was head coach of the LA Kings at that time. But he had, on a handshake agreement, not known by many people, he had made an agreement to become the president and GM with the Vancouver Canucks while he was working behind the bench for Los Angeles. Now, he's going to go to Vancouver the following season. Well, word got out eventually to the league headquarters, and at that time, the president of the league, John Ziegler, he was not a happy camper. So he wound up parking Pat Quinn in the stands for the rest of the year whenever the Kings were playing. And then Quinn came here to the West Coast above the border to be in charge of the Vancouver Canucks. And that's, 35 years ago today. When we're going to talk a lot about transactions coming up here in a moment on both sides of the border, but you talk about such a transaction that was a hefty fine, even in those days, to be suspended for the year, not a player, but as an executive in the league. That's quite something.
That is, I'm glad I looked that up. That's amazing. So it does go on. So now they're just a lot better about keeping it a secret. Anyways, Joey, you, as I mentioned earlier, former voice of the Broncos of the Giants in the Western Hockey Leagues. You're following this very closely, like we all are. This arms race. You know, as we get ready for the Memorial Cup in Kamloops, just recap the last 24, 48 hours in the Western League. Are we done ahead of Tuesday's trade deadline now?
I think we might be done in the blockbuster variety, but I don't think we're done as far as the number of trades that are going to be made. Now, I know your crew have some graphics to be putting up here, and I want to go to the first deal that was made on the weekend, and this involved the Seattle Thunderbirds. So, Clark, if you can bring that up, this is the deal that saw Colton Dach leave the Kelowna Rockets, and he wound up going to the T-Birds, and there you see the return. Now, that's a lot for a player that's coming off a World Junior experience where he's hurt. He is a high NHL prospect of the Blackhawks, but a player that's played limited games this year due to multiple injuries and won't be joining an already stacked team for at least another month. Pretty good deal, though, when you're talking about a Seattle club that has totally gone all in, and I think rightly so. We're a league title winner a couple of years ago, a league finalist last year. They've sold a lot of their future, but they've got a great culture in place down in Kent, Washington, and they've got a good fan base, and they've got a good team. It doesn't come as a surprise that the T-Birds pulled the trigger there. Now, the deal that most around the league and around the country, I think, are talking about is the one that involved the upcoming Memorial Cup hosts, and that's the Kamloops Blazers, who made their big whopper of a deal with the Everett Silvertips, going after a player that I'm sure they identified even last summer to try to get onto their blue line, and that's Olin Zellweger, who was such a standout performer for Canada on the World Junior stage, helping them to back-to-back gold medal performances this month. The price to get a player like Zellweger is quite high, and that's something we haven't seen in the WHL in maybe ever, as far as the quantity of draft picks that are being exchanged from one team to another. I know that made a lot of headlines around Western Canada. I'm sure it made a lot of headlines in Ontario and in Quebec, where teams from those leagues are vying for a shot to get to the Memorial Cup. Where this doesn't really surprise me, though, is the fact that it's involving a team that, as we speak today, has a 1 in 4 chance of winning the Memorial Cup. And obviously, management and ownership in Kamloops, and remember, that's a storied franchise, a championship franchise in this league. To make that deal, to give away what they have in the future, that is, I think, a pretty good price to pay to bring in a player that obviously they targeted, and obviously that can be a big boost to that locker room moving forward. No matter how far they go in the WHL playoffs, they'll be playing in May, and he certainly makes that team a much more difficult team to play against, Rod.
Yeah, and then Vancouver and Winnipeg didn't want to be left out. The Ice have joined the arms race with a Canadian hero, two-time gold medalist Zach Ostapchuk going to Winnipeg. How much better do the Ice become with that trade?
Well, on paper, you'd think they become better because, I mean, we're going to see what they gave up in a second here, but like Ostapchuk's captain of Vancouver, as you mentioned, a back-to-back gold medal winner for Team Canada, a solid playoff performer. I think he had 24 points through 2 rounds last year in that surprise run the Giants made out here in British Columbia. Look at the price Winnipeg paid, though. Now, they're a team that right now is the best record in the league, Rod, right? And a team that's, you know, on paper, maybe the best in Canada out of all the Canadian-based teams. And that says a lot for the success the Ice have had and the success that James Patrick has with the players inside that locker room. But look at what they've given up. 3 first-round picks, 2 players off their roster, and 2 prospects, plus another draft pick. An 8-for-1 deal for a team that hasn't won a thing in the league since they relocated to Winnipeg. They've had good teams, and they lost in the Eastern Final last year to Edmonton. That one caught me really, really by surprise. And now when you look at what they've got left in their draft capital moving forward, not only towards the deadline on Tuesday, but in the years ahead, like over the next 4 drafts, 2 of them, they don't have a pick until the 7th round. Like that is stunning to me. They're getting a great player, no question about it. They've got a great team, no doubt about it. But that's an indication that this team has pushed all their chips in to try to win the league and get to the Memorial Cup. And if they don't get there, because it's not like Kamloops, right, Rod? They don't have the automatic 1 in 4 chance. They've got to win the conference, and then they've got to win who's in the West. They better hope Kamloops wins the West, and they better hope they win the East just to even secure a spot that way. Great team. To me, that was a really surprising move. And by the way, I want to add something as well. Barclay Parnetta, the GM of the Vancouver Giants, he's been applauded around junior hockey circles coast to coast, I think. He got 3 first-round picks last year at the deadline in different deals, one with Winnipeg, and he got a couple of first-rounders in the deal for Justin Sordoff to Edmonton. He got 3 first-rounders in one move yesterday. That's pretty impressive in today's junior hockey circles, isn't it?
No doubt. The biggest piece of them all is Connor Bedard not going anywhere. What are your thoughts on that, let alone what you're hearing?
I don't have a problem with it, to be completely honest with you. I was saying to people out here all along over the last couple of months that, franchise player, generational player, we're talking about that's the title he's going to have potentially with whatever NHL team he's going to be a part of at the draft this summer. This is one of the best players that the Regina Pats have ever had, and as we've just seen here, even in limited years, he's turning out to be one of the best players in WHL history. Could he still be moved? Yes. Anything's possible. But based on those graphics that we just put up and the return for players like Ostapchuk and like Zellweger, great players in their own rights, Bedard's at a different class. And that means the return should be a whole lot higher. I just can't see any other team with enough bullets in the roster to be able to make a deal to get Bedard. Again, anything's possible, Roddy, but I would have been surprised in September if Bedard was getting moved, and I'd be really, really stunned now if he isn't a Regina Pat after Tuesday. And here's the other thing, too. If Regina gets into the playoffs, and that's a question mark right now in the Eastern Conference, isn't it? But if they get in, and if he gets going, and if they get great goaltending from Drew Sim, and maybe they make a tweak or two to their roster over the next 48 hours, you want to face that guy in a 7-game series? Time will tell.
Wow, it is fun. Very fun to watch. And a wonderful recap and a great job by our crew to throw those boards up. Joey, thanks for this. Always nice to see you, my man. Enjoy the arms race. We'll do it again here through the playoffs.
You got it. Thanks again, Roddy. All the best.
The great Joey Kenward, Sportsnet 650, Vancouver. Sports update and a viewer takeover coming up next. Scott Laughlin from SiriusXM NHL Radio in Hour 2. It is the RP Show on Game Plus Network, YouTube Live, and WQEE 99.1 FM.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Lot of sun, smoky in the air, that's a lot of fun. Big time, big time, big time, big time.
It's time to trade and upgrade at Capital Ford Lincoln. Great news, factory credits are back. That means massive savings on every new vehicle. Take advantage of up to $7,000 in discounts on all remaining new 2022 F-150s. And rates are as low as 1.49% OAC. Looking for a used vehicle? You gotta check out our all makes, all models inventory. Plus, don't pay for 90 days on all new and used vehicles. There's never been a better time to trade and upgrade at Capital Ford Lincoln. CapitalFordLincoln.com.
Gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
I gotta hit the beat.
Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Experts in all residential and commercial plumbing services and proudly serving Regina and area since 1978. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. We'll treat you right.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
Fun show today, as we knew it would be. We'll carry it over into hour two. The Moose will rejoin us. There's a lot of great questions and comments that come in on the 902 text line, and we'll get to those next segment, okay? Just not enough time here. Breaking news from this Monday, the Arizona Cardinals have fired Coach Cliff Kingsbury and parted ways as well with General Manager Steve Keim after a dreadful season that saw unwanted headlines, a serious knee injury to star quarterback Kyler Murray, and lots of losing. The 43-year-old Kingsbury, who just signed a contract extension last year, finishes his tenure 4 seasons. His record 28, 37-1. This season, 4-13. That's the head coach out. The 50-year-old general manager Steve Keim also received a contract extension last season. He's been with the Cardinals since 1999 and served as the team's general manager since 2013. He took a medical leave of absence in December, but the team didn't elaborate on the reason. Kingsbury joins a long list of names who couldn't win enough games for one of the NFL's least successful franchises. The Cardinals haven't won a championship since 1947 and have never had a coach last more than 6 seasons. Yeah, it's a tough one for the Cards. Tough luck franchise, as I said. I would say them and the Vikings have the worst, most hard luck franchises. Ryan in Saratoga, New York would say it's the Jets, but at least you've won one in the era of color television. There are only 4 games on the NHL slate tonight, 3 involving Canadian teams. The Edmonton Oilers are in Los Angeles. Montreal Canadiens host the Seattle Kraken, who have won 4 in a row. And the Ottawa Senators host the Nashville Predators. They've won 3 in a row. In the 4th game, the Buffalo Sabres welcome the Philadelphia Flyers. Canada will play host to Sweden today in the Under-18 Women's World Hockey Championship. Caitlin Kramer scored 2 goals and added a helper as Canada opened the tourney Sunday by trouncing Finland 8-0. Hey, how about the NBA? Here come the Hawks. Trae Young scored 30 points, and the visiting Atlanta Hawks sent the reeling LA Clippers to their season worst 6th straight loss on Sunday. 112-108 Atlanta over the Clippers. Kawhi Leonard had 29 for LA. Raptors have the day off today following a convincing 117-105 victory over the visiting Portland Trailblazers Sunday. The 17-23 Raptors will host the Charlotte Hornets Tuesday and Thursday. And they close out their homestand Saturday with a game against the Atlanta Hawks. Here come the Hawks. This sports update for Landmark Cinemas in theaters now. Strange Worlds starring Jake Gyllenhaal. He lends his voice to Searcher Clade, the son of a steadfast explorer. The original action-adventure journeys deep into an uncharted and treacherous land where fantastical creatures await the legendary Clades, a family of explorers whose experiences threaten to topple their latest and by far most crucial mission. In theaters now, Landmark Cinemas featuring Jake Gyllenhaal. Last minute of play in hour 1. Well, what did we do in hour 1? What do we always do? We put the weekend and Sunday to bed. We'll look ahead to Monday night. Now, from Craig, our director of scouting, Craig Smith, writes in, he says, the attendance for yesterday's game was listed at 4761. Rod and the boys would know the capacity, but I believe it's 6,000. We talking about the Pats game? It's 6,484. So at best, the arena was 2/3 full. You're talking about Connor Bedard's return to the Regina Pats lineup after winning World Junior Gold. And we can kick that around too. Whatever you people want to talk about next hour, we'll get to it after this quick break on Game Plus and WQE.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Take Tip your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902 518 3033.
Lot of sun, smoky in the air, that's a lot of pine. Big time, big time, big time, big time.
It's time to trade and upgrade at Capital Ford Lincoln. Great news, factory credits are back. That means massive savings on every new vehicle. Take advantage of up to $7,000 in discounts on all remaining new 2022 F-150s. And rates are as low as 1.49% OAC. Looking for a used vehicle? You gotta check out our all makes, all models inventory. Plus, don't pay for 90 days on all new and used vehicles. There's never been a better time to trade and upgrade at Capital Ford Lincoln. CapitalFordLincoln.com.
Gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
beat. I gotta hit the beat.
Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. Casino fancy.
Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Experts in all residential and commercial plumbing services and proudly serving Regina and area since 1978. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. We'll treat you right.
Now,
here's a little secret with what I do at the Rod Pedersen Show, and I've made a career of it. I don't care whether you like me or you don't like me, but when you watch my show, I just want you to feel something.
How about that?
Whether you're happy or you're sad or you're angry or you're proud, I just want you to feel something. Because a lot of times you'll read a column or watch a show and it's, That's never been the hallmark of what I do. I want to make you think, I want to make you feel something, and it's worked. And if you don't agree with me, I'll be fine.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show. It's hour 2 of your favorite daytime talk show, sports talk show. Maybe it's your favorite daytime talk show, period. I wouldn't blame you for that. And don't mind me, I was just looking at the Score app, the only app you'll ever need. I was looking at the NFL playoff games, the wild card round this upcoming weekend. Because I see our director of scouting, Craig Smith, whom we love like family, complaining, well, he says, tough being a Vikings fan, but I'll always be one. They're in the playoffs, Smitty. They got a shot. So that gives you an idea for those that have just tuned in where we're at today. A lot of viewer interaction. Let's bring in the Moose from the NHL's Bermuda Triangle, getting a lot of folks not familiar with Canadian geography asking me, where is that NHL Bermuda Triangle? I said, the Moose is right between Winnipeg, Edmonton, and Calgary. I've been calling it the NHL's Bermuda Triangle for decades, and now people are figuring it out. Moose, how's your morning been, man? For the periods that you haven't been on, have you been enjoying the discussion here on the RP show?
Oh, yeah. When you can combine everything that's going on in the NHL, great NFL weekend, the junior hockey trades, I mean, it's awesome. I love it.
Good. Well, we're just going to bring you into the discussion here. And for those that weren't listening an hour ago, this is what we did in the Quick Six. And we put it to bed. We're looking ahead now, but NHL leftovers from Sunday. I said the Calgary Flames played down to their competition. And that is the hallmark of, I'm not sure what. We just know they're a really good team that takes their eye off the ball against teams below them in the standings. Case in point, Sunday's loss at Chicago. This is what they need to figure out. 2, NFL playoff picture, and we'll get to that. We got all week to look ahead to next weekend, but our viewers and listeners really want to talk about it now. We've spent a lot of time on the arms race in the Western Hockey League. We won't spend as much time on it here this hour, but we went deep. You're welcome, Dub fans. Looked at NLL Week 6. Bernie Kosar being fired by the Cleveland Browns radio crew because he made a $19,000 ceremonial bet by a brand new betting company in Ohio, which, by the way, we're very big in Ohio. Shout out, Buckeyes. We're on Buckeye Cable. The 3 C's, Cincinnati, Cleveland, and Columbus. But also Toledo, because I get some mail out of Toledo. So I'm guessing Bernie Kosar makes so much money from that betting company that he's not really worried about being fired by Browns radio. And then the 6th point that we didn't get to yet is the College Football National Championship tonight. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this other than to say, you want something to watch tonight? There's only 4 NHL games. If you want some rooting interest, just watch the College Football Championship, but allow all evening for it. I'm going to prepare you for it. I've been at it. It's a 4-hour football game, if not more. A chance to enter the dynasty conversation is what's on the line tonight for Georgia as they take on Texas Christian University in college football's national championship game at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles. The Bulldogs would become the first school to win back-to-back college football playoff titles since its inception in 2014 and the first repeat national champion since Alabama did it in 2011 and 12. TCU has 1 national title to its credit. We all know this, don't we? If we've watched the storyline, 1938, they went into this season unranked, and now they are in the championship game. This is the alma mater of my good friend Reggie the Reaper Hunt and LT, LaDainian Tomlinson. So I'm going to be watching tonight, and clearly, Moose, I've got the sense from you that you're going to be watching tonight. I know ESPN's got it 7:30 Eastern. I would assume it's TSN in Canada.
Absolutely, I'll be watching like crazy. I'm a big fan of the underdog story, TCU and Max Duggan and, their coach, and they've got a great thing going on there. And so I think it's a story that can really capture the attention of the audience. So, yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to the game tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun. I know a lot of fans in Georgia, and they've got a chance to really put their mark on college football. But, yeah, it's going to be fun tonight.
This is funny. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says the national championship is so anticlimactic and dull. Then don't watch then. Here's the thing, by the way. People have been watching this show 913 episodes and listening on now on WQEE. I very much need the shiny toy. Like, while I'm still one day at a time and I don't trip over my steps looking too far down the road, I still am a squirrel. And I love the bands. Da, 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 ha, ha, ha. I enjoy the show. And with the World Juniors, whether you're in the barn, World Junior Hockey Championship, or watching on television, what I also appreciate about that is it's just meat and potatoes. There's no pomp and circumstance. There's no glitz at the World Juniors. And again, I've been on the inside and I've watched from the outside. It's just hockey. There's only 1 television timeout. It's at the 10-minute break. There's not 3 long TV timeouts. Those intermissions are like 15 minutes. They're not running these stupid dog races in the intermissions or promotions like all the other leagues to just keep people entertained. No, just hockey. And I love that too. But the panels, do you know what I mean? They really glitz up these college games, man, Darren. I mean, and the games large are good. The scores are insane. So what do you like about the college football?
You know what? It's your line about junior hockey, perfectly imperfect. I like that about college football because you have massive comebacks, big swings of momentum. The energy in the stadium's really good. It's not the most polished, but it's really good. But when you say 4-hour game, I'm taking the over. Like, this is minimum 4 hours. It's crazy how long this game's going to take. And they do a decent enough job keeping you engaged, but I like that. I like the band. I like the crowds. I like the pregame, the emotion. I just think it's a whole lot of fun, and you get that, the love of the game.
Ryan O'Radio checking in from Noonan, Georgia. He says it's going to be a close game, TCU versus Georgia. Are we carrying it, Ryan? Are we carrying it here on WQEE? Let me know. Because there was a bowl game around the Christmas holidays that I was listening to here on WQEE. Just telling you, if you're in the car and you can't get to a television, maybe tune in WQEE radio. Have the natty. Ryan in Saratoga, New York says, my heart says TCU, my head says Georgia. But the game will be closer than the spread indicates. At betregal.ca, our exclusive betting partner, 12.5 points, Georgia favored in this game, which, by the way, this is where where we get into the story time here. Jeff Gordon, one of our viewers, writes in, says, the Flames and Oilers do the same thing. As what? I've squirreled myself out. Same thing as what?
I'm assuming just hockey? No stuff in the intermission?
I don't remember. I've been to games in both places in the last year, and I don't pay attention in the intermission. I go to the bathroom. I'm visiting with somebody. From Allie, she says, let's go TCU. Craig Smith, can't wait for tonight. Here we go. From Ryan O'Radio, he says, we are not carrying the game tonight, but we will have coverage from Sports Map Radio. Okay. So tune in WQE. The links are all on my Twitter, man. You can listen to WQEE 24/7. Sports Byline USA. At night, Rick Tittle. I thought we were going to the Christmas party, Moose, at WQEE. Why didn't we make it down there?
I don't know.
I wanted to meet all these people.
I know. Sounds like the cast of Anchorman.
Yeah, doesn't it? All over the place. Approved. John in Edmonton writes in and says, what do you think about all the WHL's trades so far, and what can we expect before the end of day tomorrow? He says, I wasn't here for the beginning of your stream. Here's what you do, John. Put your finger on that line if you're watching on YouTube and go all the way back, because we spent an hour on it. We're not doing it now. From the Barflies, he says, with the total lack of defensive game, the college championship round looks more like an all-star game. Yeah, but it's not. It's just great athleticism. They're hitting each other. It's not like an all-star game where there's no contact. It's just wide open. As Darren says, like junior hockey, perfectly imperfect. No lead is safe. But I also want to say this, and I guess I should have known that this would strike a chord with our audience. And Don, our Navy friend, says, I haven't watched an intermission panel since Grapes left Hockey Night in Canada. Intermissions just aren't really my thing. I remember when they started bringing them in. My dad and I used to sit, because he was a career hockey scout, and just watch the Zamboni go around. We were happy. And talk about what we just saw. Why we got to bring these things out. It's about entertainment and all that. I get it. But coaching. Back on point. You, Darren, have said experience. The definition of experience is what?
I'm not sure exactly how I worded the definition of experience, but I've said experience is something you get right after you needed it.
Exactly. So maybe that's not the definition. That's the quote that I wanted you. Well done. Well done, my friend. So Kirby Smart, head coach of Georgia, what I was listening to this morning in the coverage, he called up Nick Saban. last double champion, back-to-back years, and said, hey, Nick, what did you do? This was just this week. We're traveling to L.A. We're playing at SoFi Stadium. It's an early kickoff, 4:30 out there, 7:30 out here. What do we need to know, Nick? And Saban, although they say he's a raging narcissist, the coach of Alabama, and I tend to believe that he is, he's not in it anymore. So sounds like he helped out Kirby Smart with, here's what you could expect. Here's what you need to do. You might not have thought of this. That's good coaching. That's why Kirby Smart is going after this second consecutive championship. And it reminds me of the 2007 Grey Cup Canadian Football League Championship. I never thought, that was my 9th season in the league, and I never thought that we were going to get to a Grey Cup. You've heard this story, Darren. I thought, I got a pretty cool job. I'm broadcasting for a pro football team, but we're never going to win anything. We're the Cleveland Browns of Canada. Just enjoy the ride and collect your check. That's what losers eventually get broken down to. And then lo and behold, we get to the championship, right? You know the whole story. You were following it. We win at BC. Weren't supposed to. All of a sudden, we're going to Toronto for the Grey Cup, and none of us had been there before. Hardly any of the players. And we had about one guy in the locker room who had won a Grey Cup. And his name was Eddie Davis, Canadian Football Hall of Famer. And although Kent Austin was our head coach and he had won Grey Cups as a player before, the players, and it was the biggest reason why we were there, it was Eddie that the players looked at. What do you do as a player? Like if Kent, the head coach, says, stay in your room, watch TV, don't answer the door, you're not going to do that.
No.
You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? But when Eddie said it, because Eddie's cool, and he'd won a Grey Cup with Calgary, Northern Illinois product, they listened to Eddie. And Eddie was like, this is what you need to expect. Or this is what you will expect is a Grey Cup week. Boom, 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 boom. And, there are far more stories. Like some of the players came to our hotel on the Tuesday from the other team, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and wanted to go partying. And our guys were like, nope. Eddie said, don't fall for it. You know what I mean? So that's where experience helps. So how do you feel about Kirby Smart doing that? That's pretty cool.
I think it's really cool because, you hear this all the time when it comes to, the big game. And it's just another game, guys. It's just another game. We have to treat this like every other week. We have to keep our routines the same. Well, guess what? It's not any other game. You're going to be thinking about it all week more than you would normally. The butterflies are going to be different. You're in a different venue. There's so much around it. There's press conferences that you're not used to having throughout the week, and media availabilities, and fans traveling, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So being aware of that, I think, is important. And for Kirby to go in and talk to Nick and say, okay, what's different? Because they've been at a national championship and won, but what's different the second time around? Where's the complacency? Where's this? What's that? And what did you do to keep guys focused? I think that's really smart. And even if you got nothing out of the phone call, learned nothing, it's still a good practice because you might have taken away some value from what Nick Saban has to offer.
Yeah, and I was reading up on Kirby Smart. His first coaching job was 20 years ago for $8,000 for the year. And he said, I'll take it. Worked his way up to making $10 million a year. Heck of a story. We'll pause and swing things in another direction when we return. I knew that would just be a fun story to talk about. The Natty goes tonight, TCU versus Georgia. All the pregame coverage right here. Scott Laughlin coming up from SiriusXM NHL Radio 2 segments from now. We'll return in a moment. It's the RP Show, your favorite daytime sports talk program on Game Plus TV, YouTube, live on the streams, and on the radio, WQEE 99.1 FM.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Take up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902 518 3033.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
It's time to trade and upgrade at Capital Ford Lincoln. Great news, factory credits are back. That means massive savings on every new vehicle. Take advantage of up to $7,000 in discounts on all remaining new 2022 F-150s. And rates are as low as 1.49% OAC. Looking for a used vehicle? You gotta check out our all makes, all models inventory. Plus, don't pay for 90 days on all new and used vehicles. There's never been a better time to trade and upgrade at Capital Ford Lincoln. CapitalFordLincoln.com.
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
I gotta hit the beat.
Is it time to take your event online? Bring it to IKS Live. We've got a fully customized virtual event platform with remote guest support for your next fundraiser, talk show, conference, performance, and more. IKS Live offers live streaming to Facebook Live and YouTube and pre-recorded capabilities, both in our studio with green screen available and on location with pre-production and post-production services. Visit us at ikslive.ca.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Laid back and kicking it, let's head back to the studio. Here's Rod.
Hey, everybody. Boy, this is just flowing really well. Really, really well. And Ryan from Toronto wrote in and said, boy, this goes fast. The show moves so fast. It was designed that way. People think we're just throwing a bunch of spaghetti against the wall every day. Which, in a way, we are, but there's a little bit of a design behind it. And before we bring in the Moose, Larry in Medicine Hat, watching on Game Plus TV, reminds us of our poll question today for Capital Auto Mall Universal Collision Center. Capital with dealerships all across the Canadian prairies and the state of California. He says, I really like the Canuck guy on Vancouver's jersey. I'm sure the away jersey would look even better. No, there's only one jersey. And that's it. There's not home and away with that same design. It's one retro reverse jersey. And today we're pitting, in round two, the Vancouver Canucks against the Winnipeg Jets. Moose has said that Vancouver jersey is his favorite of all the retro reverse jerseys. And oddly enough, it's my least favorite. And it's against the Jets. And last I looked on Twitter and YouTube, 74% were voting in favor of the Winnipeg Jets. And I just like the double blue. I'm a sucker for anything in double blue. Argos, that. All right, the Moose is here. And while we sit here and kick this around, Devin in Burns Lake, British Columbia, writes in and says, good morning. He says, Connor Bedard will stay put just to have the Pats name announced with the first overall pick at the draft. So here we go. Last segment, we spent a lot of time on the national championship tonight, which is cool. I'm here for that. But I do want to spend a minute on this because we previewed to our viewers and listeners, this is what we would be talking about, and that is the arms race that is the Western Hockey League. It happens almost every year, but it seems like this year more so than any. And for those following, and our listeners in Georgia were, the World Junior Hockey Championship, the kid that rewrote the whole record book for Team Canada, Connor Bedard, would be the centerpiece of all these trades, except he said, no, I don't want to be traded. That's what he told the team. I want to finish my career on this Regina Pats team. It's a team that's going nowhere. As you know, Darren, the best they can hope for is to not be embarrassed, maybe win a game in round one, because they're going to be going up against a powerhouse. And let me just ask this, because my phone's been going off a lot, and that's cool, from hockey fans, hockey people, friends who think Bedard's actually being selfish by saying, I don't want to be traded. That if he really cared about the Pats as much as he says, he would allow them to trade him to get the assets like these other teams have. The Vancouver Giants waved the white flag. We're out. Rebuilding. Everett Silvertips. We're out. He's not allowing the Pats to do that. I don't agree. He's just doing what's best for him, and the Pats are allowing him to do it. It's recapped in my weekend column. It's called Valuing Your People. And the Pats could have held him to his contract and not let him go on to play in Sweden, right, during COVID. The Pats, it's a two-way street. And I think they're honoring his wishes. That's how I see it. You?
Yeah, for sure. And you have to have that relationship with a player like this when you're, making the draft and getting them to sign their player contract. And do they want to come to your organization? And somebody like Connor, are you trusting this group being the best for your development because the NHL is in your path? We knew that, and the Bedards knew that when he was at 14 years old. It's not the same with every player. And there's a lot that goes into it. I mean, he's got family that's moved to Regina that lives here, to be there and have that support system. So there's a lot that goes into making a trade like this. And we often batter around what's a successful junior franchise. Is it winning championships and hanging banners, or is it graduating players to the National Hockey League? And it's probably a combination a little bit. But what's different about this, and I like, he's going to stay, and it's going to look really good for the Pats to have them announce it, and all the highlights of Bedard right now are him in a Pats jersey, and that stuff's really cool. But this isn't NCAA college football. This isn't university hockey. You're not recruiting players to come to your organization. So the Pats can look great. You're not selling the organization of players. You have to draft them and trade them. So it is a tough decision, and they're not going to get the big haul that Kamloops is getting, or Vancouver is getting for a Stapchuk. They just won't get it, and the Pats will miss out.
What's funny, by the way, is that although I got the word almost from the horse's mouth Thursday night when Canada won the gold medal that Connor doesn't want to be traded, and I reported that, there are people, everybody's seen that report, they still think there's a glimmer of hope that he might be traded prior to Tuesday. Even Joey Kenward said it last hour, and it's like nobody's got anything else to give up. It's not happening. I had fans writing me on Facebook going, no, he's going to want to play in the Memorial Cup No, but boys, we've been dissecting that for months. It's not where we are. And I'll just say lastly, Darren brings up a thing that we debate endlessly on the bus around those team supper tables. What defines you the most as a junior hockey program? Is it championships and titles, or is it players that you send to pro hockey and specifically the NHL? Why I feel the Regina Pats are God's team. 3 Memorial Cups, sent more players to the World Juniors than any other franchise in hockey. And we're up there. We. One day I'll stop calling the Regina Pats. We have up there for players sent to the National Hockey League. We got it all, baby. It's like Alabama. We got the titles under Nick Saban and all the first-round picks going to the National Football League. We got both. It's just been a real long time. Switching gears, by the way, as I said, the text line's open, 902-518-3033. Scott Laughlin coming up from SiriusXM NHL Radio. David in Winnipeg writes in and says, do you consider Alexis Lafreniere a bust as a number 1 overall pick? Who else do you consider as big busts? Alexander Daigle? It's the reason I bring up his question in Lafreniere is I watched the Rangers when they came through here the other day. This is Lafreniere's 3rd season with the Rangers, and I don't like using the term bust at all for anybody. What defines a bust? But I'll say this. What I really love about being here and in Calgary and Alberta when we go to Oilers and Flames games is being able to watch stuff like this. And I didn't even notice Lafreniere. I didn't even notice him. I think he played. There are guys that you can't not notice, though. Hedl, Panarin, Breadsticks, Zibanejad. And these guys aren't very big. They're not very big at all. And obviously Braden Schneider on the Rangers blue line was awesome. He was up there, I think, top 2 in minutes for the Rangers. But Lafreniere, I didn't even notice him. And he's at like 13 points in 40 games this year as we get close to the halfway mark. At what point do you label somebody a bust, Aaron? When do you declare that? I don't think we're there yet for Alexis Lafreniere. And I'm looking at big stats while you answer that.
I'm close, and everybody will have a different time to do it. Look at when you're a number 1 overall draft pick, you really should be able to go onto any organization and alter that organization and have success and thrive. So in that case, I understand why Ranger fans would call him a bust. But for most prospects, I would say, you've got to go to a second team or a third team and fail there as well before I'd call you a bust. Because a lot of times it's situation, it's culture, it's, where are you playing? Who's your coach? What's your situation? How are they using you? All that kind of stuff. And, the generational talents can thrive in any situation because they really drive the game. But a lot of really high-end players need to be in the right situation. We see that with football players all the time and with hockey players. So I'd like to see Lafreniere in a different organization, have a more significant role, be leaned on a little bit, and then see if he can deliver.
You're not just a pretty face, Moose. You're very smart. And just looking up Daigle's career line, I swear I'm on HockeyDB.com like 3 times a day, looking up various things. But Alexander Daigle played 616 NHL games. Lafreniere's barely at 100. And he had 327 points in 616 games. I'm starting to say, that's not a bad career. Senators, Flyers, Tampa Bay Lightning, Rangers, Penguins, and Wild. Look at some of these guys now. And by no means am I dogging him because I played no games in the NHL. Mike Johnson, Biznasty. This guy's played twice as many games as those guys. And nobody's saying those guys are the second coming to Wayne Gretzky, but you know what I'm saying? That's a respectable career.
It is, but it's also expectations versus reality, right? So with those guys, the expectations, the bar wasn't set very high. But when you go number 1, we now set the bar high. And now for Alexander Daigle, we were expecting Mario Lemieux. And if it's not Mario Lemieux, we're expecting to be perennial all-star, franchise leader in points, leading the league in scoring, or being up there, top 10. That's what you expect. But for Daigle, if he was a 3rd-round pick or a 4th-round pick or even a 2nd-round pick, you're sitting there being like, this guy's a pretty good player. He's going to play in our middle 6 and be a pretty good guy. But when he's a number 1 overall pick and he's not leading your team in scoring every year, you're disappointed.
So what you're saying is Lemieux ruined it for everybody.
Some of these first overall picks, the Crosbys, McDavids, yeah.
Right. From the Barflies, part of our audience says Lafreniere looks like he's playing 10 pounds too heavy. Wouldn't be the first player that added too much muscle and lost their game. From BW, he says, where is Shane Wright going to be traded in the OHL? Do you know the answer to that, Clark? I don't.
London.
Drager, London. They're saying, of course, London.
That's the big rumor is London right now is the front runner.
Okay.
But they were talking about Peterborough and Ottawa and stuff.
Okay, Clark's saying London too. Yeah. Patrolman Pete in Winnipeg says, I agree with Rod. Dag didn't owe anything to anyone. He was a respectable player. How about that?
How about that?
If the guy played less than 100 games and fizzled out of hockey, then yeah. Ryan Leaf, bust. And I got a problem with that guy. I'm at a point now with Ryan Leaf. He's now on NFL radio. I got to talk to Zig about him. When he comes on, I turn it off. Ryan Leaf. That's a bust right there. I don't think Alexander Dag is. And back to the Bedard thing. And at some point, you tell me when Scott Laughlin's logged in, Clark, and I'll shut up about this. But, okay, just with Bedard, COVID screwed everything up. Because I see the fans are saying they didn't put anything around Bedard. They didn't give him anybody to play with. To a degree, that's true. But when he was 15 years of age and he was averaging 2 points a game and led the WHL in scoring, it was in the bubble. We broadcast the games. If there were playoffs, they'd have been in them. But they scrapped. They played that 24-game regular season, and then they were done. We wanted playoffs. The teams are like, no, hell no. They wanted out of the bubble, right out of the dorm. So they would have been in the playoffs. And then the last 2 years, they weren't that good for a variety of reasons. But like COVID just screwed up Connor Bedard's whole time with the Regina Pats for the most part. Now, having said that, he's going to finish his career with the Pats. So we'll see where it goes. But they're still not very good. And, yeah, I don't expect him to be traded prior to Tuesday's deadline. I just think it's cute that a lot of the hockey people, media, and fans think there's still a chance. It's like, to where? Everybody else is off the board, and these teams have nothing to trade. Anyways, that with Scott Laughlin coming up, and when do we start taking the Winnipeg Jets serious as a Stanley Cup contender? Moose, I'll see you in overtime.
See you then.
It is the RP Show, your favorite daytime sports talk. We are live on the Game Plus television network. We're live streaming on YouTube and on the radio, WQEE 99.1 FM.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
I gotta hit the beat. I gotta hit the beat. I gotta hit the
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
beat. I gotta hit the beat.
Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Experts in all residential and commercial plumbing services and proudly serving Regina and area since 1978. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. We'll treat you right.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
It's time to trade and upgrade at Capital GMC. Great news, factory credits are back. That means massive savings on every new vehicle. We have over 100 GMC Sierras available, and they're all priced to move. Looking for a used vehicle? You gotta check out our all makes, all models, GM certified pre-owned inventory. Plus, don't pay for 90 days on all new and used vehicles. There's never been a better time to trade and upgrade at Capital GMC. CapitalGMC.ca.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Oh, yeah, he's back. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
RP Show continues. Welcome aboard, everybody. Not just live on television, radio, and streaming, but also your favorite podcast platform. Let's bring in, please, Scott Laughlin from SiriusXM, Channel 91, NHL Radio. I know his mind's swimming probably with all those topics. But, Scott, before I get to all of them, question for you, sir. Have you ever been to the SiriusXM Mecca in New York, 1221 Avenue of the Americas, downtown Manhattan? You been there? Was it life-changing?
Yeah, I don't know if I'd go so far, Rod, as to say life-changing, but it is a work of art. There's no question about it. You got to go through high-tech security. They take you up, I don't know how many floors up into the sky. You look out the window, you see all of downtown New York City and the Hudson River and things like that. The time I was there, actually, Chris Mad Dog Russo was walking around, too. I mean, the fact was that every channel at SiriusXM New York had its own particular studio area, office area. And I would suggest to you, Rod, and next time you come to Toronto, we'll have you by our studio, our brand new studios in downtown Toronto on King Street East. A mini version of what you see in New York. It's remarkable that every station on SiriusXM Canada now has its own office, its own studio. It's phenomenal. I love going into the studio. I always have loved going into the studio. But this one, I would say that SiriusXM has simply outdone themselves.
Yeah, awesome. I love it. Thanks for the invitation. When I got the tour from Zeg Fracassi, my good buddy, I looked around and I'm like, this looks like a radio station. You know, but on the 54th floor, as you say,
yeah.
And Howard Stern's wing was completely off limits. Anyways, Scott, you saw that I wanted to talk about the Winnipeg Jets as a Stanley Cup contender. Mm-hmm. Where are you on that discussion?
Well, I think they are, Rod. I mean, look, they're playing fantastic hockey right now, having won 5 straight games. The fact that they've got the reinforcements back in the lineup now, Nikolai Ehlers, what a dynamic player he is in all different zones of the rink, of course. Blake Wheeler comes back as well. I think that they can score. Kyle Connor was the type of guy that got off to a real slow start, which was surprising to a lot of people out there. Now he's 10th in the league in scoring, and ever since he's overcome that deficiency early on this season, he's kind of taken off to become the player that they always expected he would be. So I think when you look at Winnipeg, all the pieces are in place. You've got, again, when he's on, and he's on most often than not, Connor Hellebuck is one of the top goaltenders in the league, a guy that might be up for the Vezina Trophy once again when it's all said and done. Halfway through this NHL season, I think we can make that proclamation. I think maybe a little bit more help in terms of defensive depth, and that's saying something with Josh Morrissey or Norrisy, depending on your perspective, having the season of his career so far. Very few weaknesses on this team, I think, Rod. And I think ultimately the fact that they had a new coach come in, 30-some years removed from his first stint as the head coach of the Winnipeg Jets, to have them buy into what Rick Bowness has been selling right off the hop with all the injuries that they've had along the way, I think it's real impressive. And maybe by the end of the week, the way that the Jets are trending, the way that Dallas is kind of scuffling a little bit here and there here in the last week or two, maybe we see that the Winnipeg Jets once again by the end of the week are on top of the Central Division.
I couldn't be happier for them. Now, next, they're referring to Matthew Tkachuk as the mayor of All-Star Weekend. They're going to play it in his building, U.S.-born player, less than a month from now. With the announcement last week of the All-Star teams, the initial player per team by the NHL Hockey Operations Department, what was the take from you and your listeners on any snubs or from that initial announcement of players and All-Stars?
Well, I think, look, for a team like Edmonton, obviously, there's going to be a big snub, and we know he's probably going to eventually find his way there as well. So I think you can look at these teams that have got that dynamic duo, and if it's Marner going, okay, well, Matthews will probably follow, that sort of thing. With Matthew Tkachuk, I mean, it's not surprising. I think by far and large, he has been their best player. From the outset, I don't think you could say that he's been disappointing at all. The team, as we know, Rod, is an entirely different story altogether. A game under the NHL's 500 right now. And I think that when you look at the Florida Panthers, number one, they're scoring a goal less per game per season this time around than they did last season in their President's Trophy winning season. And number two, they're giving up a half goal more per game than they did by way of comparison to last season. Their PK has not been nearly as good. They, too, have had their injuries. And maybe ultimately it boils down to this, Rod. You know, you look at Spencer Knight. He's been good. Sergei Bobrovsky has not been anywhere approaching good. Spencer Knight could get better. Bobrovsky's going to have to get better. They need to get that last line of defense shored up before they can get back to talking about where they were last season. You can talk about missing Jonathan Huberdeau. You can talk about missing Mackenzie Weegar. Matthew Tkachuk's been as advertised, I think, going down there, and they've got him locked up for a long time to come. As we know, ultimately it comes down to goaltending. It's going to have to get much better the second half if, in fact, they are going to make a run.
You're absolutely right. It's fantastic to follow, and I just feel like they're giving Spencer Knight a lot of starts. I think they're ready to move on from Bob more than anything because of the hefty price tag. But I will just say this, with NHL weekend, All-Star weekend, February 3rd and 4th, if you need anything, I'll be here, and I'm very much looking forward to it from the event at FLA Live Arena. Hey, the Calgary Flames, I opened this show saying they habitually play down to their competition, and I feel like they appease their fans by beating the good teams, but then they go into Chicago and lose. What's your read on this Flames team this year?
Well, look, I still think this is a good team. I think that the standings kind of reflect that. They've had this run recently, the loss to Chicago notwithstanding, where you get a guy like Markstrom, who's been a lot better, obviously, in the last month, get hooked after giving up 3 goals and 11 shots. So I think this is a good team. I still think that they really haven't found their sweet spot to this point. I think it's coming. I think it's going to happen with Huberdeau. I think it's going to happen once again consistently with the all-star bound Nazem Kadri. I think Mackenzie Weegar slowly and surely is starting to come around a little bit here too. So I think that this team has got too much talent to languish for much longer. And if this is as bad as it's been for the Calgary Flames so far this season, Rod, I think that they're in a particularly good spot because I think this is the type of team that we still haven't seen the best of. I think at some point that's going to come. Like I said, Markstrom coming around, Vladar being a real good 1A option to Markstrom, I think has been a godsend for the Calgary Flames so far this season too. So I'm not worried about the Calgary Flames. I think ultimately they do have question marks, yes. But I do think that this team has way too much talent to languish too much longer in where they're at in the Pacific Division. I think that you'll look for this team the second half to really make a run. Don't have a real major concern in the slightest when it comes to Calgary.
They need to hear that in Cowtown, so we will be replaying that for them, Scott. And I'm with you. They're in a playoff spot despite these problems, to boil that all down as to what you're saying. And, hey, lastly, Connor Bedard. You saw him in the summer at the World Jays. He took it to another level this year. Your thoughts on what you saw out of Halifax?
Well, and as you know, Rod, yesterday, I mean, 4 goals and 6 points in his return for the Pats. I mean, that's just, well, it's what you expect from Connor Bedard. I'll just go out and throw up a 6 spot in my first game back and celebrate my return to the Western Hockey League. Man, he was impressive, right? Like, we were expecting big things. We got gargantuan things from Connor Bedard. He's a pleasure to watch. What he said afterwards, look, it's not about me. Let's talk about the team, even though he was, making all these runs at Peter Forsberg. and his single season or single tournament record anyway, as we know, going back to 1993 with the 31 points in 7 games, making Canadian hockey history in the process. I cannot wait until next season. I mean, it'll be great to see him in Nashville at the draft, and we know he'll get announced first. The draft lottery is going to be equally as intriguing to watch, of course, as maybe the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs, which is saying something, because I think, Rod, that this is going to really change the fortunes of an NHL team out there. I know the Pats have been a work in progress to a certain extent and trying to make some sort of a run. As you said earlier, look, he's not going anywhere. Let's get used to that. He's going to, play out the rest of the way with the Pats, and then he'll be in the National Hockey League next season for who knows whom. But the kid looks to be the real deal. There's never been really any doubt about that. I don't know, Rod, whether it's the fact he wears 16 or whether the fact is that he shoots right. He's the same sort of size as Mitch Marner. I said on the radio earlier today, if it's Mitch Marner plus, then you're getting a dynamite player. You're getting a guy who's going to compete for the Rocket Richard Trophy someday. He's going to compete for the Art Ross Trophy someday. He looks like he's Mitch Marner with those skill sets and the hockey IQ that he's got, except, Rod, and this is a big except, he's got a much better shot and release, of course, than Mitch Marner does. So if you're starting at 100 points as that ground floor for Connor Bedard with the potential to go higher, I really do like that potential.
I think Marcel Dion wore 16, and that's I can't take credit for it. A Pats fan said that's the comparison. I'll never forget it. And yeah, I think the Purple Haze, Marcel Dion wore 16. So don't ever forget that when he's tearing up the NHL. And I guarantee you he will win the Rocket. Scott, I could talk to you for days. Love listening to you, man. I brought the radio down here. I got it on in the Jeep. Keep up the great work, my friend. Love it. Thanks for the time today.
Anytime, Rod. Thanks very much. We'll see you down in Florida.
Awesome. Scott Laughlin joining us from SiriusXM NHL Radio. We got overtime coming up next. The Moose will rejoin us and viewer takeover. We're live on Game Plus TV, live streaming on YouTube and on the radio, WQEE 99.1 FM.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Lot of sun, smoky in the air, that's a lot of pine. Big time, big time, big time, big time.
Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
Gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
beat. I gotta hit the beat.
Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Experts in all residential and commercial plumbing services and proudly serving Regina and area since 1978. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. We'll treat you right.
Easy snacking all around. Something everyone can love.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
It's time to trade and upgrade at Capital GMC. Great news, factory credits are back. That means massive savings on every new vehicle. We have over 100 GMC Sierras available, and they're all priced to move. Looking for a used vehicle? You've got to check out our all makes, all models, GM certified pre-owned inventory. Plus, don't pay for 90 days on all new and used vehicles. There's never been a better time to trade and upgrade at Capital GMC. CapitalGMC.ca.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Hola. It is overtime, brought to you by the Four Seasons Sports Palace, your home for the UFC and the National Football League. Let's bring in the Moose now, Darren Moose DuPont. Hey, Moose, just a quick sports update here. 3 Canadian teams taking to the ice in NHL play tonight. The Montreal Canadiens hope to build off their recent victory over St. Louis when they host the Seattle Kraken tonight. The Kraken, Moose has got their tracksuit on right now. They've won 4 in a row. The Ottawa Senators welcome the Nashville Predators to Canadian Tire Center, and the Edmonton Oilers are at L.A. And the Toronto Raptors have the day off after defeating the Portland Trailblazers 117-105. Sunday, Raps take to the court Tuesday against the Charlotte Hornets at Scotiabank Arena. This sports update for Landmark Cinemas. Boy, did we cover a lot of ground today, Moose, and we have a lot of time left here in this segment. But what are your takeaways so far from this wonderful program on this 913th episode?
People care about junior hockey. That's one of my takeaways. They care. Absolutely. We're not going to talk about the playoff races in these, leagues and whatnot, but these big trades, they care. They absolutely care, and they're following it, so that's cool. Big fan of that. And still so much to digest from the weekend in the National Football League. Crazy finish with Green Bay, the winning in, and they can't get it done against Detroit, and you get Seattle getting into the playoffs. I thought that was pretty exciting. And you and I know a lot of Seahawks fans, so, it's been fun, and I'm looking forward to the Natty tonight.
Yeah, and they're almost all annoying.
Seahawks fans,
Yes. You brought up, by the way, did I tell you that we air on TDS cable all throughout the state of Washington on TDS, on Game Plus. Wayne in Victoria, BC says, well, that was definitely the fastest 2 hours on TV. We aim to please, buddy. I talk with Moose quite a bit, and, every day. And I talk about Pardon the Interruption, where I say we're like Canada's version of PTI. Those two are stealing money, dude. That's 30 minutes. 30 minutes. Isn't that all they do is 30 minutes? I think that's all they do.
That's right.
They're everywhere. They replay them all the time. We're sitting here doing 2 hours. You can't blink your eyes in 30 minutes. We're doing the real heavy lifting. We're doing the real heavy lifting here. From our director of scouting, Craig Smith, he says, I was disappointed in the Jets in the offseason. Didn't really add much. But the big addition was Rick Bowness. His coaching philosophy has the Jets playing well. Fun watching the team this year. Jeff the Stamps fan says the most annoying fans are Atlanta Falcons fans. You going to take that, Clark? By the way, he says yes, he is. He's the only Atlanta Falcons fan I know personally. Obviously, there's a lot listening to us right now at WQEE. I almost said Charleston Hughes. Cameron Hughes, the other C. Hughes. The King of Cheer sent me a photo right from Mercedes-Benz Stadium yesterday. He said, next level in that stadium. Bucket list 2023 Atlanta. We're getting closer. We're getting warm. right? I went through the state of Georgia over the Christmas holidays. I just didn't shift over to that west side of the state. But it's coming, Ryan. Oh, radio. Tell them, get them ready down there. Smitty says, tough one for your Titans, Dupes. We did not dissect that. You got your playoff game Saturday, but you lost it at Jacksonville.
And it's debatable whether that was a fumble or not, the forward pass. And you know what? I can see both sides of it. I mean, it was so right on the line, but they made the call so fast. And here's the thing Rich Eisen tweeted it, and I was fine after that game because this isn't a team that's going to win a Super Bowl. I was fine until Rich Eisen tweeted it. I was lying in bed, and then I got angry. He said the Jaguars scored 10 points in the fourth quarter and had -1 yards of offense. That's how we lost. That doesn't sit well. So now we got a long off season to figure it out, and here's hoping we make a move and maybe we'll get Bryce Young or some exciting player in the draft.
From John Ohm. He says, best dang 2 hours right here. Boom. From Ryan O Radio. Another great show, RP show. We're ready, Rod. You heard the man. Atlanta bucket list 2023. Okay. You just saw my mind went 18 different directions. I had to settle on one. Wild card weekend. Monday night football playoff game. Dallas Cowboys at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers next Monday night. 8:15 Eastern. A week from today, I got to wait in this glass case of emotion that I'm in. And I said to Serena, I'm really going to struggle with who to cheer for in this game. It's my team versus my guy. And she said, well, if you're a true blue Cowboys fan, you'll cheer for Dallas. I said, I'm not sure I'm a true blue Cowboys fan, but I know I'm a true blue Tom Brady fan. I think we just settled it.
I think you did. I mean, I have no affiliation with the Cowboys, so I'm going with Tampa for sure. For sure.
And that doesn't bother me, but from Smitty, he says, loved traveling through Georgia. From Jenna in Southern California, she says, Dallas winning over Tampa Bay. Well, at Bet Regal right now, the Cowboys favored by 2.5. Jeff the Stamps, last minute of play in the RP show today. Jeff the Stamps fan says, wild card games. No, hang on. Jeff the Stamps fan says, Monday night playoff game? Yeah. This thing on? That's what I said. Jeff's going to really like the show tomorrow because we are going to be as live as we can be from the Canadian Football League winter meetings in Kananaskis, Alberta. I was once live there doing a show. It was from Banff. But we will virtually be doing it. We'll be here and we'll have CFL personalities, general managers, the commissioner, I believe, coaches, live from the winter meetings. How about that? That's Tuesday. So get your bingo cards ready for that. Moose, great show. Thank you, Ryan in New York. See you tomorrow, Moose.
Yeah.
And the rest of you, noon Eastern right here. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Bob's your uncle.